Correro, a platform where we talk about pressing national issues. My name is Godwin Sunday. Nigeria's growing wealth divide continues to raise important questions about opportunities, access, and fairness across generations. From property ownership to inheritance structure and legal protections, the gap between wealth creation and wealth distribution remains a major concern. At the heart of this issue is the role of law and property rights. How well are Nigerians' legal system protecting access to land, housing, and assets for the next generation? Well, that is the first question on the one hand. The other question is, are current structures helping young people build wealth, or are they reinforcing long-standing inequalities? As conversations around economic justice deepen, the link between law, property, and generational wealth becomes even more critical for national development. So tonight on Correro, we examine Nigerians' wealth divide, focusing on law, property, and what it means for the next generation. Joining me tonight is a patient Olusui Esquire, lead partner Simplex Logical, and she'll be helping us put all of this issue in perspective. Patience, it's a delight to have you on Correro tonight.
Thank you. It's good to be here with you.
Yeah, let's even begin the conversation by first talking about the divide around the real estate sector. As it stands, Nigeria home ownership rate stands at 2.25% or thereabout, as at based on the recent research right now.
Okay.
And now this is the lowest across Africa, based on the population density and the demography. Okay. But then looking at that 25%, young people within the age of 30 to 35 really talk about owning properties in Nigeria. I'm curious, why is this so?
Okay, good to be here. And I mean, this is a conversation that is timeless, and it's something we should look at. Property ownership in Nigeria. So, young people between the age gap you mentioned, right? Let's look at, do we have the capacity to actually own property in Nigeria as the current economy dictates? It's a yes and no answer. If you look at what the young people within that age are doing currently, how many young persons are gainfully employed to afford property? Let's take Abuja for an instance. What will it cost to own a one-bedroom apartment in Abuja, where we are at the moment? You know what the market figures look like. Now compare that with our earning powers as young persons. The division is wide, frankly speaking. And so it will take an audacious, determined, and voracious young person to be able to save and then afford owning a property. Or you said 25%.
Yeah.
So let's say within this 25%, we have individuals who are gainfully employed, and then their employment is not just for survival. So it's very easy for them to also, segment a portion to own property. Now, let's also compare owning property in Nigeria with other countries. You find out that there are other systems in place that enable individuals to own property. Let's talk about mortgage system. In Nigeria, our mortgage system is communal, but it's very slow. And it's only few people that also have access to this. And I can tell you that among the 25% that own properties, most is based on inheritance. Parent handing it over to their kids, or they're able to get it through their parent. Probably the parent are very influential and well pleased, and so it's easy for them to get property. So I quite understand that it's a challenge, and it's something that we can also fix.
Well, it's a challenge and something that we can fix. A lot of young people have even said that the old Land Use Act of 1978 is part of the reason why they cannot afford properties, because the property belongs to the government. The government controls some of this, the land, and hold it in trust for the people. But then, if the government want to give out this land, they tend to favor their colleagues. How true is this whole accusation from young people?
Okay, so the argument that the land use as restricts ownership does not in any way stop any individual from owning property. I mean, that is the law. The whole land belongs to government for 99 years, right? Any land you have, you're only owning it for that period and government can take it back. That is the law. But it does not by any way place a restriction from owning it. Now, let's talk about allocations from government, right? You can get allocation from government. I also know there are applications that need to be made, there are procedures that need to be followed depending on whether you're applying through the state government. The state government manage the lands for different states, and if it's here in Abuja, there are processes you follow. So it's not absolutely correct to say that the land user restricts the possibility of owning land. That having been said, now let's look at the issue of favoritism, who gets favored in terms of allocation. I also do not subscribe to that school of thought. I do not subscribe to it absolutely, that certain individuals are favored or not favored to be allocated. I want to believe that anyone who goes through the right process is able to get allocation. I, as an individual, I have started process of getting allocation for land here in Abuja. And once you fill the form, right, there are different reasons for allocation of lands in Abuja, for instance, and you just pay some certain fees to government, and then the process is kickstart. So I do not think certain individuals are over-favored during the allocation processes.
Well, quite interesting. Let's even look at a legal case which has become like a locus classicus within the legal world. The case of Idundu versus Ikumagba of 1976.
Okay.
Now, the Supreme Court held that part of the requirements to even own a land is that the land must at least have a traditional history, production of title documents, and possession of long possession and proof of adjacent land. Now, for many, this is what even informed the decision of even coming out with the Land Use Act in itself. But in reality, inheritance right now in the country has become very challenging. Looking at the old Land Use Act and also the reality on ground, especially for female children. You want to quickly react to this across the country?
Okay, so first, the case you mentioned, right? I hope you know it's not the same with the earlier conversation we just had about the law in the Land Use Act. That is a personal dispute between two persons having title to land. That is, who is the rightful owner of a particular land. So you have to prove that I've been in possession of this land, or if you want to prove either through customary or through inheritance or whatever means, that is different compared to between government and individuals.
No, we're bringing it to the individual level when it has to do with inheritance for female children.
So, I mean, in Nigeria, everybody knows that there are Supreme Court authorities to the effect that the traditional laws that forbids women from owning or inheriting landed properties is null and void right now. There are Supreme Court cases to that. And in the course of this conversation, I'm going to make reference to those Supreme Court cases. So gone are those days where individuals can say women cannot own property anymore. We can duly inherit properties from our parent. And one of the ways I feel these parents can actually make this very easy is to ensure that they have their will. Because most times you see people die intestate without will, and that's where this whole problem comes in. So you find a situation where relatives begin to, cling or say, oh, we're entitled to our brothers or our uncle's property and all of that. But where you have your will that expressly provides that this land should go to my child, this one should go to this and all of that, I mean, is a lesser trouble for the society at the end of the day. But right now, Supreme Court judicial cases are there stating the fact that ladies, women, girls can own property
Well,
in Nigeria?
I know how passionate you are when it has to do with the real estate and try to even address the issues around the divide within this, the whole economic conversation. But then let's even look at the Nigerian elite driven system, where it is believed that we still have more of a two class of people, the bourgeois and the proletariat. We have a divided market when it has to do with the real estate. And again, speculations that the real estate market will sell to the bourgeois against selling to the proletariat.
Okay.
Is this the reality when it has to do with real estate in Nigeria?
Well, again, I can't give an absolute answer to this because when you look at the real estate industry, it's owned by individuals. These are individuals doing businesses. So it's not owned by government, or there are, government saying, okay, establish your real estate company for the purpose of helping certain class of people. So real estate are individuals doing their businesses. So as an individual, I can decide who my market should be. And so if certain companies decide to say, oh, I want to sell to the wealthy persons, or I want to sell to the, okay, I guess right now they say we don't have middle class anymore. I don't know if that is correct. Or I want to sell to people down there. It's the decision. So, and I do not think that there are no real estate firm in Nigeria that sell property to younger persons or
But
people
most
with
most of the
lesser,
adverts we see around, even from real estate companies, we see 60% of Nigerian, let's even come to terms and put it in perspective, 60% of Nigerian population are young people. One will be expecting that real estate companies will be targeting this 60% in order to even cut down the price of their lands for and their properties for these persons, but rather it stays on a flat rate.
yeah.
Can we say that the Nigerian real estate sector or the players within the real estate corridor are being wicked to the Nigerian young people?
Again, I did not think so. It's business for them. And I want to believe before they put price tags to any product, they must have calculated their costs. Because I want to, like, do you know what this real estate firm go through to even get certain properties? Like, I know some of my friends that are into real estate, and then they get approval for some properties, and then they have issues, and then some of those approvals are revoked at a time, and then they must have even invested, done some infrastructural work on the properties, and all is gone. Then there are issues where they even buy from families. And then at the end of the day, the family comes up and say, you know what, is a particular group of the family members that sold this land. It's not the complete family members. So the land technically hasn't been sold. So return our property to it. A lot of them lose millions in, issues around land ownership and all of that. That's for those who own real estate firm. So I do not think that they're just being unfair. I do not think they're being wicked. I do not think they do not want the young persons to own property. Rather, they're just doing business.
All right, so let's talk about the next generation of Nigeria. There is a very strong argument right now.
Yeah.
And I know you're passionate about real estate, you're passionate about infotech, passionate about synergy and entrepreneurship. But then the debate is young people should focus more on infotech other than real estate. Where do you stand in this debate?
Okay, here's my belief. I'm an advocate for strategic partnership. And anything you want to do, my first advice is it possible, or my first question rather is it possible to get other persons on board to join you to do whatever it is you want to do so you can get better and faster results? So it's not about choosing either one side or the other. Rather, first, even before you start, look at what you want to do. How can I get to the end of this well and better? So if even you want to go into infotech or you want to go to real estate, can you sincerely look at it from A to Z? How can I achieve a great result? And for me, it starts with two things. Do you have the natural talent to go into that sector? Or do you have the requisite knowledge to go into that sector? Either way, what are the other things? You need people. You need mentor who has walked through that part so they can guide you not to make the mistakes they made while going through that part. And frankly speaking, I must tell you that it's unfortunate that in Nigeria, we haven't taken the mentorship system seriously. And that's why we have a lot of young persons start businesses and 18 months down the line, it's gone.
Well, you've talked about skill. Does
Yeah.
one need skill to go into the real estate sector? It looks like a field where if you wake up in the morning, you clap your hand, you're already there. Of course, you see real estate companies springing forth across the country.
Yeah.
Some are registered and some are yet to be registered and hiding under what they call the leverage coverage to be able to express their thoughts. Does
Yeah.
one need talents to even get into any of this field?
Yeah, it is said that talent is overrated, but I can tell you that skill is key in anything at all. There is nothing you want to do that if you do not have the skill, then what exactly will you present to people? Let's take real estate, for example. You want to play in the real estate industry. If you do not have the skill, how do you promote your product to people to even buy in the first place? And I want to believe that it's not everybody that, decides to go into real estate that studied anything that has to do with real estate management in the university. So they don't even know basic things about real estate in the first place.
Or they are cashing out?
Cashing out. Probably they're skilled at selling. Because we take us back to what? Skill. So skill is required in anything. Real estate, infotech, any industry in this world.
So for young Nigerians right now that are even listening to you,
yeah,
they can be skilled in selling.
absolutely.
And as such, they don't need to acquire any further degree or qualification or certification.
So, let's start. Education is the foundation. Because if you do not have education, even the skill we're talking about can be misused. Education helps to, properly push or propel your skills to get results. But without education, you can just be flying all over the places.
In this day and age, young people will tell you that education is a scam.
Oh, really?
I'm not an advocate of that. But then we live in a time and age where young people will tell you that education is a scam, except you telling me you've not heard about it.
Well, honestly, I do not even pay attention to those narratives because I just believe even the individuals who are now, jumping everywhere and say they are creatives, right? If they don't have basic education, even the phone that they are, using, or the computer or whatever it is they're using, it is still education that has been able to help them to, do all of that. So education is important. Now, the question you now ask is, what kind of education are we talking? Because they can be formal and informal education. But education is not a scam.
Well, you've talked about education. I don't know if you've seen the recent out-of-school children. Well, the ratio that we have about 18.3 million Nigerian children that have dropped out of school. 18.3 million Nigerian children have dropped out of school between the year 2024. Just 2026, we have about 20 million, and this is exactly the UNESCO report. So don't take my word for it.
Okay.
So again, the budget for education in Nigeria still stands at 3.53 trillion naira, which is around 6.1% of the total budget, as against last year where we have about 7.3% of what we have right now. It has dropped down by about, let's not go by the mathematical figures, but then looking at what it is right now, primary school, we have about 10.2 million children from primary school that have dropped out of school. GSS, that's junior secondary school, we have about 8.1 million children. And the narrative, again, is that education is a scam. Looking at all of these figures and statistics, don't you think that we should begin to look into our own kind of education, be it just perhaps skill that we can just call the Nigerian education, as against going by what we believe should be formal and informal education.
Okay, great. I don't have access to the report you have just mentioned, but I'm going to speak to the fact that, dropouts from school could be based on different reasons, but we don't want to look at the reasons for it. But just in case the sole reason is that education is a scam, and that's the reason why we have this high rate of dropouts, then I want to believe that there is something wrong with our education system. And I'll tell you, yes, the curriculums we have in school needs to be improved on. I'm an advocate for that, because why would you explain, or why would someone go to school and study a particular course, and after 4 years they can't even use it? So some days ago I was discussing with a friend's house cleaner, and he told me he wanted to study a particular course. And I asked, why do you want to study that course?
Do you want to mention the course?
No.
Let's just get the course out there. No, let's get you to talk about that course.
So he said,
just mention it.
Okay, yeah. So he said he wanted to study public administration. And I asked him, what do you intend to do with public administration when you're done from school? And he said, he doesn't know that, but he just wants to go to school and study. And I said, okay, do you want to work with government, like be a civil servant? You understand? Or do you want to work with politicians to be, stuff like that? And he said, no. And I said, okay, do you know? And this gentleman, anytime he's cleaning the house, he will sing like angels in heaven. I don't know how angels sing too, but he has this amazing voice, right? He will always sing well. And I asked him, I said, don't you think you should go to school and hone your singing skill? Now, these people that are saying education is a scam is because most people go to study what is not relevant to them, what they did not even know what they would do with it at the end of the day. So I think the foundation that needs to be worked on is helping people understand their inner skill, their talent, their virtue, and then guide them. And this goes back to parent. Guide them to study what is in line. I do not understand why someone from childhood is already showing that I love to play musical instrument, I love to do, drama, or I love to sing, or I love to use mic, and then you're asking the person to go and study law. By the end of the day, once the person is done with law, they will bring the certificate to you and then go back to learn the music or whatever it is they have interest in. So it's understandable when they are screaming that education is a scam, because most time what we learn in school, which is theory, is not easy to apply in real term, in life scenarios and situations. So yes, our curriculum needs to be worked on. Then parents need to go extra mile in discovering the interests of the kids at a very young age and help and guide them towards that direction. I think there was a time I read a publications that says that, out there in other countries, they allow children to experiment so many things and see what are they good and better of, what do they love and enjoy doing, and that is where they will guide you to go and study. I guess for me, I'm privileged because right from primary school, I'd always wanted to study law. And I'm happy at the end of the day, I studied law.
And perhaps you like to read and talk. Because they said that's the quality of a lawyer.
Well, not all lawyers talk, but all lawyers read.
Yeah, all lawyers like to read and talk. So we don't know which of the divide you fall. Perhaps when you
both.
But when you were growing up, you were saying you found yourself talking a lot, and you found yourself reading a lot.
I wasn't talking a lot.
You're not a talkative, so it means that that was not a skill for you. Okay, all right. Please, you can go ahead.
So why did I say I wanted to study law right from my childhood? So my grandfather fought World War II, and then returned back to Nigeria, and he was made a king. And as a king, at that early age, between 6 and thereabout, I was right with them. And people will come with disputes, people will come fighting, and he will just settle them. And you just see people going back, smiling and happy and excited. And I asked him, Grandpa, what can I study so that I can also help people fix their problems? And he told me, law. And since that moment, now that is the kind part of me, because as a person, I'm kind-hearted. Like, I just love to help people fix the problem. And so you see, it's so easy for me to study law and then utilize it, because that's who I am truly. I love to fix problem.
Or you like to settle disputes, or
All of
settle
that.
quarrels.
All of
The
that.
way it is. Well, interested. But then, again, speaking about education as a scam, I understand also that you also advocate for, when it has to do with finance and fashion, entrepreneurship, and synergy. But then, within the synergy space in Nigeria, especially for young people that are watching, they've tried to engage in that sector, try to see if they can synergize from some kind of bonding with fellow young people. And they end up not even becoming productive. And they say, I prefer to go alone as a single person.
Yeah.
But then, are we ripe enough to have that conversation as young people in Nigeria for us to be able to synergize in collaborating to do any business? Are we ripe for this conversation?
Yeah, I think we are. Those who understand are doing it the right way. And
You mean those that are schooled outside the country?
No. Even here in Nigeria, I'll give you an example. I have a friend of mine. They started a company. 3 of them, they were in the university together here in Nigeria. And they started their company together from the beginning. So it was not like a case of one person registered the business and 2 other persons joined. It was a conversation they had from beginning, and they started together. And today the company has celebrated over 10 years and they're still all together. So education cannot be a scam. And individuals who do not have knowledge, because it's one thing to want to do something, but you do not even have the requisite knowledge of what that is, how it's done, and what you need to do. And then most individuals, they want to partner with people and they have zero value. They don't have anything tangible to bring to the table. And partnership does not work that way. And what do I advocate for? Basically, instead of owning 100% of a shell company, why don't you just own 10% of that company? What does that mean? Come together with people who have same ideology, same vision, ambition, and then come together and bring up something that can work. And that is what I advocate for every day, strategic partnership. Because having practiced law for 15 years, we register businesses. And I can tell you we register a lot. I mean a lot. But 18 months down the line, ask the owner of these businesses to come and pay the first annual return. They tell you, oh, the business is no longer in existence. I've stopped that business. It's not working. But imagine where you have an idea and you say, okay, you know what? I do not just want to do this for survivor. I want to do this to succeed and have a potential of being, succeeded, having a survivor. Then you know that you don't have all it takes to do this. And you ask, who do I need? What do I need? And then you get these people come together and then you start. Sometimes you might have a brilliant idea, but you don't have the resources to power that idea. And someone might just be somewhere who have that money or who has access to the person that can fund it. But because you are not even willing to open up a little space to accommodate other persons,
patient, let's be fair. Let's be fair to Nigerians. A lot of Nigerian youths that are watching will tell you that they've tried. They have ideas that they've been able to pitch to some of these, in Yoruba they call it Baba Olowo, people that have money. They've pitched this idea to them.
I'm not asking them to pitch to
no,
a big
we've
person.
said they've opened up to these persons. And at the long run, is that their ideas were stolen. At the long run, most of them were flushed out of the scenario. They were frustrated out of the business because they could not fund the business. If a young person find himself in this situation, can we still look at this young person and say synergy works in Nigeria?
So yes, synergy works, and it can work if you do it the right way. And I'll go back to it. Now, I'm not asking them to pitch their ideas to Baba Olowos in court. I'm asking them to pitch ideas to their co-age mates. That's what I'm
But
saying.
just for clarity, for those of us that are watching outside Nigeria, Baba Olowo simply means the rich, especially rich people within the western part of Nigeria, and the Yorubas call them Baba Olowo. So you can go back to that.
So I'm not asking them to pitch their ideas to the wealthy person. And you know, the problem we also always have in Nigeria is we think cash is the most important thing when it comes to starting a business. But I can tell you that's the last thing. That's one. Secondly, you know, once you pitch your ideas within your peers and you feel that this makes sense, this can thrive, this can work, then the next thing you need to do is get the proper people that can support that idea still within your age. So let's say, for instance, you have an idea and then you get a lawyer who is your classmate and say, okay, you know what, we have these amazing ideas. We want to package it in a way that we can present it to someone else. A lawyer will guide you and say, okay, after you've designed your business plan and everything, before you present it to anybody, have an NDA. Non-disclosure agreement. So you have proof to show that, oh, I presented this idea to you. So peradventure the person decides to steal the idea or take it to somewhere else, you have a document that shows that there was a foundation. It is our idea. And if you're so cool that the idea was either, the intellectual property was protected before even pushing it out there, that's another thing. I'll give you an instance. There's this startup. They're they're doing a tech law product, and they came to me and I told them, I said, okay, this is my fee. They said, oh ma, we can't pay you this fee, but we need your services. I said, great. And then after we had conversation, they said, you know what, we'll give you a certain percentage in exchange for your services in the company. And right now, as I speak to you, they're going on with the job. I'm offering them guidance, legal guidance, every step. They're going into agreements. Before they sign an agreement with third-party service provider, I have to review it. I have to tell them, oh, no, this you can't go, this that you can't go. Have they given me a dime? No. So synergies can work.
Well, you're just one out of the many Nigerians that will do some of this. But then, let's take the conversation. Perhaps many Africans watching right now will say it's because patience is based in the urban setting. So she can afford to meet a lot of this person. Does this principle, is it also applicable within the rural communities?
Yes. Value has no location.
So if peradventure,
give me an example
a person,
of one remote area in Nigeria.
Let's take it. I don't want to mention names, so I will not be dragged. But then let's even take it to some of the remote path of this country. If this young persons walk up to you and pitch the same idea to you, that barrister patients, don't collect money from us, let's run on a percentage, will you still subscribe to it?
If it makes sense.
If it makes sense.
The idea makes sense. If the idea has potential, if the idea has something to give to the society, if the idea is impactful.
So if it doesn't have immediate value, you will not key to it?
No. There you go. Now, value is relative. Right? What is valuable to you might not be valuable to another. And as far as I'm concerned, anything, either product or services that you want to make must be able to solve a particular problem. It must have the potential of fixing a problem. But if your idea is not solving any problem, then why should I subscribe to it? So sometimes what we think is really valuable, if truly analyzed in and out, might not be as much valuable as it is. Especially today that people just feel that they can copy other people's ideas and replicate and then just do a little touch to it.
Innovation, they innovate on it. That's the way the innovation comes in and creativity begins to play out. Yeah.
Innovation should be substantial. Innovation should be substantial.
Being substantial is relative. So,
Yeah.
except you want to help us to understand what you mean by substantial
So
in this
I'll
regard.
give an example.
Yeah, please go ahead.
We have phones. How many brands of phone can you really name? There are a lot. But every one of them is giving out something special about their own brand that separates it from another. So it's not wrong to want to copy what is already in existence, right? But if you want to do that, then make sure you're adding something that is extremely cool and valuable. So it attracts people to want to use it, invest in it, or be part of it. But imagine that you just want to copy a particular phone and paste. I used to tease some of my mentees. I say, the problem most of you have, you know how to copy, but you don't know how to paste well.
Well, interesting. Perhaps we'll learn how to paste well. but then let's even look at the other angle of this conversation, especially people that are based in rural communities that don't have access to a prolific lawyer as yourself, and also an entrepreneur, and also a passionate investor. Should they be going diabolic in order to be able to... No, this is the reality.
Okay.
In order to safeguard the idea, you are in this field. What would be your advice to these persons that don't have access to professionals of this magnitude, of your personality, of your kind?
Okay. I think the biggest problem we have, in Nigeria is the fact that we're dispensing communalism, community, ideology to individualism, sincerely. And that is really killing a lot of vibrant ideas. It's killing a lot of individuals that would have been awesome. Now, to the rural community, I grew up in the village. Yeah.
You don't look like one.
Oh, well, I grew up in the village. I grew up in Ayegunlegbede, Kogi State, Ijumu local government, with my grandparent. And in those days, I remember that a lot of people will go to my grandfather's farm and farm. Like there's this particular day, you see over 50 to 100 people farming on the farm. Women are pounding yam, we're eating pounded yam, and they're doing their work. And then the next time, this same group of people will go to another person's farm and do the same thing. And you see that the outcome of this joint effort is huge compared to an individual trying to do all of that. So now, even in the rural or even in the extreme of the extreme village in Nigeria you ever want to consider, your brilliant idea, I want to believe there are still people, your peers, there are still some family members that will believe in it, that will protect it for you. And the world is now a global village. I know there are some community that the network is not so strong in terms of internet. But I think in Nigeria right now, there are only very few communities that you go that they don't even have any single internet or network anymore to even have access to other people. And that's why we have local government, for instance. So even if you're in the village, by the time you come into the local government with your idea, you definitely see one lawyer. There's no local government in Nigeria now that you tell me there's no lawyer there.
But for most people in remote communities, they believe that it's safe to be secretive and to protect your idea, and that's why we've seen that there's lack of transgenerational knowledge across Africa. We see families that they have natural healers, and once the most elderly person from that family gives up, that will be the end of that old generational knowledge. Now, in such a situation of this nature, you saying that they should go get a lawyer, but in the absence of the fund or getting a lawyer that has an open mind to be able to accommodate them like you have done, what should they do?
Okay, so you give an example with healer.
Yeah.
The question I want to ask is, the first person, the elderly person who was the healer, did he have to protect his idea? Was he secretive about it? The answer is no. As long as an idea is yours and is truly and genuinely yours, which I tell people, hardly will you see an idea right now in the world that is so new that has never been done before. We just simply improve on what is already in existence. And so I do not think being secretive will even help your idea in the first place. And that's why, I spoke about mentorship in the first place. And mentorship, I think the wrong idea or the notion we have in Nigeria is we think mentorship is all about having an external person. Mentorship starts within the family. Your father, your mother is your mentor. In the absence of that, who are the next elderly persons that you can look up to or that can guide you in the movement of life? We dispense with all of this. And that's why you just find a lot of people struggling, trying to make it all by themselves and then doing all they can just to find, bearing. When in true sense, if they can just open up to some individuals, they can have a better way of getting their results. So I do not think they have to go diabolic or do anything special or extra. If the idea is tangible, if it's yours and it can be impactful, you go extra mile to make sure it comes to the limelight.
Well, are you also advocating for lawyers to begin to scout for ideas and partner with these ideas in order for we to have a country where ideas and intellectual properties are better protected?
Lawyers do not.
Should we be advocating for this?
No.
Will you advocate for this?
No.
Doesn't this take us back to the status quo? If lawyers
The word,
are not, if lawyers
the
are not
word
going
you
to,
use,
yeah, please go ahead.
scout.
Yes.
No. We shouldn't be the one searching for. Rather, they should understand the importance of lawyers and find one that can help them become or that can help them.
So once they can't find lawyers, lawyers cannot find them.
Why should we go look for them?
So I think lawyers can find them.
The only thing is, just like I am doing, we can educate and let people know that, say, whatever idea you have, your intellectual property, your ideas, all of that can be protected, and find a way to get access to a lawyer that can guide you to do that. It's not our responsibility as lawyers to go and scout for
Perhaps we feel that there's some form of innovation within the legal space also, where lawyers can be permitted to at least look the other way around and scout for some of this person in remote communities.
Choice of word is a no for me.
Okay.
But however...
Yeah, all right. Okay, let's take away the word scout. Let's take the word search for this person.
What's the difference?
I don't know. Let's see the matter of synonyms.
It's still the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just the idea. We do not have to search. We do not have to scout for it. However, I will advocate for lawyers to be available to, support some of these individuals that are not able to afford their services. And do not forget, every lawyer understands the place of pro bono. We do. And aside even protecting ideas and all of that, there are other services lawyers offer for free. And I know a lot of lawyers that are doing that in Nigeria. So the question is, the individuals that need the services of a lawyer, are they well positioned to be helped?
Well, we'll think through it. Then we will come back to even look at that. But before I let you go, let's even look at the whole issue around the Nigerian reality and its economic instability. A lot of families will say that it is difficult to protect and preserve wealth across generations. Do you believe in this assertion? So there is no guarantee that wealth can be preserved.
There is, but it's slim.
Based on Nigerians' current reality.
Yes. And I'll tell you why. Most families have lost values. Most families don't even have values. That's one. Secondly, a lot of family build businesses around the founder only. And once the founder is gone, the next person is not even interested. Secondly, some family individuals do not carry their kids along in the course of the businesses. And then they just expect that suddenly, when it gets to a particular level, that child should develop interest in that business. Meanwhile, that child has been struggling to do something else on his own. He doesn't even have any tiny interest about whatever family business is going on or is being run. So, in Nigeria, take for instance, there are two families right now. I mean, big families in Nigeria. The news is out there recent time that, the succession plan is already ongoing. Children are now placed in positions. But those children that are placed in positions are not merely placed in positions just because they're children, but it's because they are qualified to take those positions. They have interest in the business and they've acquired enough knowledge to take over the mantle from the leaders, right? But you find other small businesses, other family businesses that actually have good business that other children can take over. And then you just find out halfway the line, the children have not been carried along, and then suddenly you want them to take over. I'll give you an example. I think some days back I spoke to someone and she told me that her dad had this big business somewhere in Nigeria. They sell building materials and all of that. And then they were never part of the business from the beginning. Now the dad is no longer alive. The mom didn't even have idea about the business. And now the business is at the verge of collapsing. And she had to quickly step in and now, she's now learning the rope of that business, trying to build, stuffs around the business and all of that. I mean, that's because she's truly kind and she understands that, okay, let me take on the legacy my father has built. But you find out that some children don't even have interest in it at all. So it goes back to why we do the businesses we do in the first place. So my recommendation again is for there to be transgenerational, businesses. You need to understand, one, that if you insist on having successors within your family, you should carry them along from the beginning. Secondly, that succession is not limited to family. People who are knowledgeable and skilled outside your family member can also take over the business from you.
Well, Patient Olushoyi,
Yes.
I wish we have time to talk more, but I've been signal that our time is fast spent already. But then there is this Convergence Africa. A lot of people that we've been seeing their comments coming in on right now on the socials are asking, is it for free, or is it for the elites, or is it for a selected few? Just one word before we let you go.
Okay, so the Convergence Africa is for everybody. It's for everyone who is determined to build transgenerational businesses. And last year, I hosted the event absolutely free.
And this year it will be free also.
And this year, it's not free.
It's
affordable.
It's not free, but it's affordable.
Yes.
Well, that's a good way to even end the show. I want to say thank you so much, Patience.
Thank you.
Find out time to be with us here on Correro.
Thank you very much. And it's been a pleasure being here. And everything I've said is my opinion. And opinion is my opinion. And thank you, Nigerians, for watching, and Africans, I guess, for watching. It's been a privilege.
Well, the interesting part about allowing a lawyer to speak and to debrief the court is what we get to see a patient just doing right now. She takes the show from us that owns the show, but it's fine. My name is Godwin Sunday. Don't forget that you can leave your comments and leave your suggestions on our social media handle currently showing on your screen. And you can also download the RapidTV app from your Android and iOS devices just to keep track of our broadcast. Again, my name is Godwin Sunday. Do enjoy the rest of your night rest. Bye for now.